Today, we are going to be talking about how you can get better sleep, how to prevent heartburn, acid reflux, and what do we need to do about parasites. Today, I am here with Wade Lightheart. And Wade, I want to thank you so much for being here with us to talk about some very important things. First of all, Wade he is a partner with bioptimizers. And if you'll open and just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 20 years ago, Matt Gallant, my business partner, and we were both successful personal trainers in Vancouver, Canada, and we had a profound experience with an expert, Dr. Michael O'Brien, on digestive health. And at the time, we were selling an education forum program on the internet for high performance athletes, and I was running a holistic health clinic as well. And turns out a couple of things happened out of that. Number one, the performance-based stuff that we were learning, we coached thousands of people around the world, had applications in the health world that I see in my holistic health clinic. So there were two parallel opposites, people some trying to get from being sick and other people trying to be the best that they could, but there was some cross correlations between that. And our education on that. And then the final piece is we both loved helping people. And we realized that with the current dietary situation, even the best diet, regardless of what you took, he was a keto guy, I was a plant-based guy, that there were real problems that in all diets that you couldn't get what you needed. And what you needed was not just determined on what you consumed, it was also relative to your own individual genetic tendencies. There were no genetic tests back then, but we used to figure things out by all these concepts like, blood type diets, metabolic typing. There was a variety of different methodologies that were applied in order to do that, which were kind of like second or tertiary ideas around dietary strategy. And of course, us having polar opposites, we just, debate it constantly about how to solve this. Long story short, we realized that the key mistake that people were making in all the nutrition industry was they were assuming that if I put something in my mouth, it got into my body. It's a single canal from your mouth to your butt. And that tube is where food lives, and it goes through a specific process. And that most people in the modern world had a compromised process in one or all of those parts. And that was influencing how effective that diet was for them. Now we have genetic tests and the science of nutrigenomics where we can recognize that there's tendencies within groups of people that would lead them to be more successful on one diet or another, independent of just the digestibility, but also because of certain methylation pathways, etc. And then now we have the proliferation of social media. And social media happens for our listeners, and they probably all can recognize this, is, well, so-and-so said this, and then so-and-so said that, and they're totally saying the opposite thing. I'm supposed to trust these. What's the truth? And what we did is to resolve those issues, we wrote a reference guide. This is not a book. This is a reference guide called the Ultimate Nutrition Bible. And the idea is to look at all those major problems that people have. We have chapters on just about everything. And you go to that chapter and you discern how's the truth right for you. And it's based on what's sustainable for your lifestyle, what's your goals, and what's your genetics. And I would say the extra part is we already figured out the digestion piece long ago in the company. We have the most robust suite, most effective suite of digestive health products. And I can state that unequivocally because we're one of the only companies that actually has a lab with, 20 PhDs and master students doing with millions of dollars worth of equipment doing tests to see what probiotics do, what enzymes do. Does that cross the barrier? We've recreated a digestive system. What happens when you feed the probiotics this? What prebiotic works with that? What element enhances it? Does that actually get delivered to the blood cells in your body, or is it cytotoxic? Is it genotoxic? Is there mineral elements that can enhance what you're doing? All of those things we have been able to resolve inside of our lab. And there's might be 1 in 1,000 supplement companies that does that type of work. And we do it because we found with our differences, that the only way to resolve that was to use science to resolve those differences for us. And so what happens for the listener when they're out there listening to these conflicting information, it's because the person has found the right diet for them, and they have a following of people that stay with them because it's the right diet for them. And they have a group of haters who don't like that person because the diet that's right for them and the choices that's right for them is diametrically opposed. And those people start the new diet cult. And they have their leader and their influential person, and everybody, they were the haters on that parade, and they're the lovers on this parade. But then another group of people comes along and they hate that diet and they want to go to this one. So if you've been in the industry as long as I have, which is literally for the last 37 years, I'm in my 50s now. I've been in the nutrition and health industry, performance industry for 37 years. And I can almost predict what the next cycle is going to be because I've seen it 2 or 3 times. And the reality is the consumer who just wants X result doesn't have that experience, doesn't have the nuance, and doesn't have the capability to discern what's right for them. Everybody says, hey, well, everybody's different. Okay, how are you different? And how does that influence your diet? And so what we comprise is a set of universal principles, values, and policies that you can implement into your life that you'll never be hoodwinked again because you know what's right for you. You know how you're different. And by knowing how you're different, that's the lens that you can filter information through. And if you don't have that filter, you don't know if Bob and Mary's information is right for you.
First of all, I became an affiliate for this company. And the reason why I did is because it works, not just for me, but in my clients' lives. When I started just on the magnesium, my digestive health improved so much. And, I won't get into the TMI, but it blew me away. I thought I had a healthy digestive tract, but like this has just leveled up incredibly just with that product. So then I was like, I want more. And so then it was the P3OM, which is the probiotics, and then it was the mass enzymes. And the way that I've been able to help people with these products has been absolutely incredible. The one that I want to wrap my head around is the HCl. And I do understand that as we age, that the stomach acid can become out of balance. Of course, because of many of us that have kind of lived on the SAD diet, a little bit too much processed foods and sodas and eating out and things like that. So we need to restore that stomach acid. So explain to us the product, HCl, why we need it, what's it going to do for us, and how do we take it?
I explain this. It's on our website. It's the 5 stages of digestion. Taste, touch, feel your food, masticate the food. The food goes down into the upper cardiac portion of the stomach. The enzymes break it down for 30 to 60 minutes. Hydrochloric acid comes in. Hydrochloric acid's job is to disinfect your food of the parasites, the bugs, the viruses, the bacteria, the whatever is not food that you don't want in your system. It's to kill that stuff. It's the first start of your immune system. The second thing is it changes the pH that activates some enzymes and deactivates others for full digestion, particularly of proteins. Once that food is done, then you need minerals, which are called, it's bicarbonate buffers, which is a fancy name of minerals, to neutralize that high acidic environment before it goes into the intestinal tract. And the intestinal tract is where the probiotics, you'll hear this as the microbiome, which is a combination of 10% good, 10% bad, 80% opportunist. There's all these different strains of bacteria, and they feed on that food. And we live in a symbiotic relationship with those probiotics. And what they do is they convert our food into energy units or building blocks. If we don't have enough bacteria, good bacteria, then we disrupt that, and the bad bacteria will feed on that undigested food, and they produce toxins. And how do you know if you're not digesting your food well? Well, a couple of things. 1, you feel tired and bloated after eating. 2, you have acid reflux or heartburn. 3, you wake up in the morning with brain fog, crusty eyes, bad breath, not with a lot of energy. The number one thing that disrupts sleep patterns in society is eating before you go to bed, because your body is trying to digest food. which takes a tremendous amount of energy, you're not in the right state of mind. How do you know if you don't have enough hydrochloric acid? So hydrochloric acid is involved in digestion. Hydrochloric acid is involved in your immune system. And yet, if you have acid reflux or heartburn, not because you have too much of it, it's because you don't have enough. And what happens when you don't have enough, instead of your food emptying out properly of the stomach and going into the intestinal tract, what it does is it starts to ferment. And there's a little sphincter at the top of your cardiac portion of the stomach, right up by the heart. Okay. And that opens up because you're fermenting and it creates a gas. And that gas comes up and I burp or I have that feeling coming up because your food is coming up. There is about a 1 or 2% chance that you might have a hiatal hernia. You might have some sort of tumor or something that's pushing up on that's pushing that area up, that's preventing that. But 99 times out of 100, it's that you don't have enough hydrochloric acid. So I'm going to solve this really easily. Everybody listening to this can find out if they have enough hydrochloric acid or not. Take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, mix it in 4 ounces of water, drink it on an empty stomach. If you burp within 5 minutes, you have enough hydrochloric acid. If you don't, and you need to supplement with hydrochloric acid, there's also a correlation with a bacteria culture called H. pylori, which can grow if you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, and that also contributes to that. But it all can be solved with enough hydrochloric acid will kill the H. pylori. Enough hydrochloric acid will break down your food properly. Enough hydrochloric acid will break down and disinfect from all these bugs and invaders, which is the first step of your immune system. And we got the test for people to listen to. That's all you need to do. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 4 ounces of water, empty stomach, drink it. You burp in 5, you're good. You don't burp in 5, you need HCl. And this will change your life.
Very simple.
Very simple. What makes HCl breakthrough, this little guy, better than all other HCLs on the market? That's going to be the next. Do I just run to the store and get HCl? Do I get betaine hydrochloride? Do I get this or that? Okay, so here's what we did. We combined 3 things: enzymes, minerals, and hydrochloric acid together in a vegetarian-friendly formula. So if you're a plant-based guy or an animal-based guy, it doesn't matter. It's good for both of you. Into a formula that provides you the enzymes needed for the digestion, the hydrochloric acid you need for the digestion, and the minerals that you need to buffer those acids before it goes into the intestinal tract. That's why it's a breakthrough. That's why it's so effective. And so I would suggest that most people that are suffering from acid reflux, heartburn, inflammation, they're getting all those things, take 1 capsule with your meal or after your meal, and your problems will go away. Some people will need 2 at first, but usually that's because they have too much H. pylori and they take 2 for a while, and then they can downregulate to 1. And then eventually they might not even need it over time. And some people like to take it as an insurance policy.
So what you're saying is you take 1 with every meal. So I mean, 3 meals a day. I'm going to take 1 with every meal.
Yep.
If I have a problem, then 2 for a while.
Yep.
How long do they need to stay on HCl?
People who get relief from this tend not to want to go off it. What I've noticed with guys like Paul Chek, so Paul Chek is an advocate of hydrochloric acid. He's probably the healthiest, most integrated 60-year-old I've ever met, and one of the most healthy integrated people. And he thinks that most people, it's about 90 days. And that's usually because they have an H. pylori overgrowth. And once they've had enough HCl, the HCl over that period of time will kill off that bacterial overgrowth. And then they're hydrated and they go back to normal levels of HCl. As you get older, the more this becomes problematic. And part of that is based on chronic dehydration. And part of it is just the loss of biological capabilities to produce that acid. So the older you are, the more likely you'll get benefit and relief from it. And the more likely that you'll probably say, you know what? I don't want heartburn. I don't want bugs. I don't want acid reflux. I'm just going to take 1 capsule after my meals and I don't ever have to worry about it. And that's how most people find it. And you can test that. And the way that you can test, if you want to get clear, is just do that test that I just said every few months. And if you're okay, then you're okay. And then if you find that you go back to that old way, you start feeling those symptoms again, then you can tell that, you've got a problem there. Right. So, you know what I mean? That's really the solution to that.
I have a friendly, I left the door open and I have a little bee flying around me, but I'm sure it'll be fine. If you hear me scream,
The bee is excited about what we're talking about today, so I want to come
no
in.
kidding, no kidding. Okay, so tell me how this plays in with the mass zymes. Do I take them both?
Yeah,
Okay, so
you
still stay
can.
with mass zymes.
So if you fail that hydrochloric acid test, I'm always like, here's what I know is the ultimate digestive solution. Masszymes, HCl, P3O. I've got 20 years of experience. That combination will solve about 90% of people's digestive issues in 30 days. So the easy way to do this is 3-2-1. 3 masszymes, 2 probiotics, 1 HCl. In fact, we have little packets called the Ultimate Digestive Stack with that in combination. And I actually take those out to a restaurant or whatever. It's easy. It's more extensive in those little packets than if you bought the 3 bottles separately for your house. But it's a great convenient to stuff it in your purse, stuff it in your pocket. I do it. And I get out to one of my favorite things when I go to meals with my friends is I take these things out like, cards and I deal them out at the table. It's really fun. Um, and people are shocked that they don't have that gas and bloating and discomfort when they have a big meal that's maybe not on their diet or not quite right, or they had an extra dessert and they're going, man, I don't have that feeling in my stomach. What happened? And
Don't you think when people are traveling to other countries, this needs to be a must that you take with you every time?
so, yeah, big time. So again, your digestive system is the first stage of immune system. Now, if you look at diseases throughout all of human history, it's infections through drinking water, which are often laden with parasites, and it's bacterial infections, salmonella, E. coli, stuff like that. The long-term ones come from undigested foods. So all of them are related to the same. The few are about the inflammatory agents, the HCl and the P3OM, the P3OM particularly. So we know for a fact, I've got hundreds of friends that have experienced this in 20 years. I tell them before you go to Mexico, before you go to India, before you go to Bali, and I like to spend time in all those places, take your P3OM, because if you get food poisoning, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 10 of those caps immediately as soon as you feel that bad feeling. And about an hour later, you're going to take 10 more and take 10 before you go to bed. And they go, why? I said, trust me, if it happens, you'll see it. And sure enough, it fixes it every single time. And we've tested that in the lab. It's amazing for food poisoning and killing the bacteria that causes food poisoning. So it's a great defense mechanism. So when you go to these places, and largely in part, it's because of ice cubes in the drinks, water that you ingest, either in the shower even or in a cup or something that hasn't gone through the rigorous treatment systems that we have in many of the other countries we have in here. And that's where the bugs are living. I went to Bali and I was doing all these things that I was supposed to be doing in my digestion. Everything was fine. But I went swimming in a pool and I ended up with a parasite in my eye, which was eating the back of my eye. So if maybe you've gone to those places and seen people that have those kind of colored over eyes and you wonder what happens, well, that parasite actually damaged their vision. And that's what happened to me. Everybody has genetic weaknesses, and eyes, ears, and throat are the area that are most likely that I'm going to get infected. Some people it's lungs, some people it's blood, some people it's muscular, some people it's neurological. That's just based on your genetics. A good genetic test will show you where you need to put an extra emphasis. And that's the areas I need to extra. And so if something breaks down in my body, my eyes get inflamed. If I get overclocked, I know that my system's overclocked because my eyes start getting itchy or scratchy or that sort of, so that's my weakest link. And so that's like my red line. It's usually related to your genetics. Anyways, I got back, talked to my naturopathic doctor, and I'm in my eye doctor says, you got this parasite in your eye that's eating your eye. It's 50% chance you're going to lose your eye. I was like, 50% chance. So I talked to my naturopathic doctor. She's like, okay. So I went down to the Chinatown, and I bought all these Chinese herbs, and I cooked up this pot of Chinese herbs because China in their medicine, they had to deal with parasites a lot in pre-industrialized world when Chinese medicine was developed, and they figured out what herbs killed all these different bacteria. So I got all these stinky herbs and I cooked them up in a stinky pot and I drank them, and I took 20 HCLs a day during that time because that's also an parasite protocol that's developed. I'm not suggesting people do that, but that's what my ND said. If you're in a serious situation, I had something eating my eye, and I pounded P through M as well because I wanted to know, I wanted to hit it on all levels because I thought if you're weak in one area, if you have inflammatory bacteria, now they can run wild too. So it's not a one thing, it's a multi. I just loaded up on everything. The doctor told me I couldn't fly anywhere for 2 weeks. I said, I'll be fixed in 3 days. Because I was on a flight to Okinawa right after. I said, will you come and see me on a Saturday to check my eye to see if I can fly? He's like, you're not going to fly. I said, will you come in and check me? He said, yes. I healed my eye sufficiency. It was about 95% good enough. And he said I was okay to fly. And I got on the plane a few hours later and flew to Okinawa and was fine. From that, I took that combination of herbs that I used and I created Paracleanse, the Herbis Parasite Cleanse. We had to change, there's regulatory stuff about how you change it and all this sort of stuff. So I did that to these herbs. I put them in a simple format because I didn't like going to Chinatown and cooking up all these stinky herbs and stuff. So I want to get all those herbs in a high quality that I can control on a lab assay and in our testing, put them all in a combination and wipe out the parasites. I had the HCl. And then what happened is I read this book, Parasite Rex, at this time. I got really interested in parasites. And OMG, I didn't realize these parasites are the most interesting organisms on the planet. They mutate when they get in the body. They'll take out control of your brain of one species. Like there's one parasite that controls rats and will change the rat to run out into the nature so that the vultures come down and eat them. And then they get inside the vultures. They change again so they can be crapped into the mud puddles so that they come into something else. And then they're eaten by another bird and they become so like these creatures are remarkable and they're extremely resilient.
It's a horror flick.
It's the craziest health book I ever read. So I was like, great, I want to make sure that I could wipe out those guys. Fortunately, I have my eye, and that's why I created Parasite Cleanse. So people can have a bottle in their house. If something happens, start pounding that like it's going out of style. If you're traveling, you can take it, or if you're going through a detox period, because sometimes you'll have parasites sucking on the system. And you'll go through a detox stage and then they'll fight back.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I really appreciate about yours is because I do a parasite cleanse 4 times a year. Just better safe than sorry. And bitters are good for you anyways. But the one that I was taking was in liquid form and it tastes like death.
Oh, it's nasty.
So trying to get someone to take it, they might do it for a few days, but to do it for an entire 30 is really difficult. But yours isn't difficult at all because you put it in a supplement form and we don't have to taste it. So
that's exactly why I did it, because I would drink it. I'd have to literally drink, like when I was cooking up these herbs, I'm literally plugging my nose so I don't vomit.
Putting it in the back of your throat.
Yeah. I was just like, this is murder. It worked.
Yes.
It worked.
Yes.
Like, nobody's going to do this unless they're going to lose their eye like me, and they might not know this info.
Exactly. So just to prove it, because a lot of people think it's hocus pocus and it is not at all. And there have been cadavers that have been opened up and they are full of parasites. And it proved that it was wrecking their health. And it had a big part to play with death. So a friend of mine, she had taken her son for vagus nerve testing. There was something very wrong with him. He tested positive for a parasite. So he then goes on the parasite cleanse, and it's the kind that I'm talking about that tastes like death. And he was 14 years old. So he finishes about 2 weeks and he just like, I can't do this. And, his mom didn't really realize how serious this is. Like we know now, of course, she's not a nutritionist or in this field. So she lets him get away with it. Of course, I probably would too. So anyways, it was about 6 months later, he ends up in the emergency room for an emergency appendectomy. And after he had it taken out, the doctor came out and he goes, oh my gosh, I have never seen one as full of parasites like this, not this heavily. It's very real. But the other question I want to ask you, because someone was saying, well, you'll know when you have parasites because when you start doing the parasite cleanse, they're going to come out in the toilet and you're going to see them moving around. Well, I've never seen that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure at one time that I did have a parasite. I didn't see anything moving around in the toilet. So if someone's taking a parasite cleanse and that's not what they're seeing, but that's what they've been told, am I wrong? That's not always the story. That's not always what we're going to see.
Yeah. So Parasites come in a wide variety of styles. And if you read Parasite RX, then you'll start to realize there's all different types of parasites and they get hooked to different organs. And you have to realize that the optimal state for a parasite is not to kill you, but is to just suck enough juice out of the system that it can survive. If you're tired all the time, if you don't have energy, if you're getting caught by immune system stuff all the time, if you have weird sugar cravings, if you grind your teeth a lot at night, you have a lot of digestive distress or low energy, it's a high probability that you have some parasites inside your body that you don't know about.
How about
And
acne being an indicator?
acne can be a big indicator as well to parasites inside the body. Parasites are real. If you read Parasite Rex, you'll definitely do a parasite cleanse every day. I guarantee it, because you'll be so
Yes.
terrified when you read that book.
Yep. And for anyone that is hearing the story that this is bad for you because it's so strong or whatever, I mean, that is just bogus because bitters are so good for the stomach anyways. Even if you wanted to take one as a precautionary, I don't see anything wrong with that.
What I do is about once a quarter, I take 2 weeks where I take the parasite and I'll take the caps every single day. That will ensure that you're okay and learn about these things. And it's not for everybody, but I do believe that everybody can benefit from a periodic parasitic cleanse because, like, all those herbs are really beneficial. They have abilities that have been proven over thousands of years that stimulate a lot of different things in the body, bile production. There's some healing components to these elements for these herbs. They contribute cofactors that are involved in a variety of metabolic factors over and above just what's used, and they're anti-parasitical as well.
So parasites can have cycles, and we want to make sure that we hit that. So how long should someone stay on the parasite cleanse and don't turn back once you get started?
2 weeks is the minimum. A month is usually a good indicator because, especially when you're dealing with females, a lot of the literature was just built on standardized data between males and females. And male hormonal cycles are run on a 24-hour cycle, and a woman's run on the moon cycle, 28 to 35 days. The variance within your own hormones can influence how you feel at a given time or your ability to resist the effects or detriments of parasites or a cleanse. So I like 1 month programs, do it for a month. And then you can repeat those more frequently at first and less frequently, the better that your body gets. And how do you know when to do it? When the symptoms that you're feeling from the parasites start to go away, right? And then you want to do that. You want to do the beat down, and then you go into maintenance, what I call maintenance mode. These are the habits that I do periodically to do this. Like when I was rebuilding my own health, I was doing 10-day fasts, twice a year. Now I do a 10-day fast once a year. And now that fast is down to about 5 days because I've got all these adjuncts. And how I test it is when I start to see a precipitous drop in my lean body mass, I know I've gotten all the benefits. So I used to go 10 days and now it's about 5 days because I'm just that much more efficient at my fasting cycle to clean out my system. Most people don't know how bad they feel until they feel a whole lot better.
That's right.
And if people could spend a day in my body, like I'm going over to a friend of my house right after this. He's 60. I'm in my 50s. We're going to bust out some training over there that's just brutal. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm like, I get to do this in my 50s and he gets to do the 60s because we made the investment in our health over that time. And other people, people my age and stuff like that, their lives are miserable and
they're selling their house because it has stairs. What?
Yeah.
No.
And they're drinking or taking medications to alleviate the pain and suffering they have.
Yes.
They're zoned out on the couch, not dealing with their families and stuff like that. And life has become miserable as opposed to life being an exciting adventure. And I want people to have an exciting adventure and take all their wisdom and in the areas that they're experts in and share that with the people in their community, with their family, and in the world in general.
Yes.
I get excited about this. Why I do this. I don't have to do any of this stuff. I'm more than set. But I want to do this because I can't think of a better thing. I fell in love with making people feel better. And that's why we give 100% money back guarantee on all our products. If it doesn't work for you, no problem. We'll give you your money back, reinvest it into another program. And we have the lowest refund rate in the world and in the industry. I know there's no one even close to us. And we have real people that answer the telephone. Like your text messages, your emails, your phone calls is picked up by my staff that I've trained personally, and I meet with every single week to go over all of the things that they had, and I solve all of the challenges that people have. And if I can't solve it, I tell those people and I refer them to someone who probably can.
It's excellent. Now, I'm going to come back to that real quick, but because I'm going back to the Parasite again. How many should they take a day for those 30 days?
Great question. So there's two schools of thought. There is the minimal effective dosage, which would be, 1 or 2 caps per day. That world just doesn't work for me. But our regulatory bodies will suggest that that's what they call the minimal effective dosage. I prefer to go 4 caps twice a day, morning and evening, for a minimum of 2 weeks, and ideally 4.
I like it. That's what I would.
And like just go beat the thing down, get it out of the system. You may have a detox reaction in that first 2 weeks. If you're not feeling that good from that, that means it's working. The parasites are putting up the fight.
Yeah, it's a battlefield in there.
Yeah, and you're in a war, buck through it.
And win.
And win. And win. And that's where having someone like you in their corner to help them, just alleviate those symptoms. Because oftentimes you start taking it, they're like, oh my God, I feel worse. No, the critters are putting up a fight. They don't want to leave.
That's right. So take a nap and get over it. Some people have reached out to me because there is a subscription that you can click on, or I think the subscription is already there. Yep. And that's a way to save money, which almost all companies are doing that these days. But what they're not realizing is that you can turn it off. Now, that's a different price, right? When they turn that button off.
That's right.
But a lot of them don't see the button and they kind of get scared. Certain people get scared of subscriptions, but you can always come back on and you can change your subscription. So don't let that scare you. There's a button, you can turn it off if you want to, but you do save more money if you hit this, if you continue with the subscription. I keep saying hit the button, but it's the opposite. So I just wanted to clarify that because I don't want that to keep someone from ordering the product.
When you go to the page, what they do is they build in the automatic subscription savings by going on that, because over half of the people in our company who purchase products actually reorder them. And that way you get the savings on your first order and the second and the third and whatever. You lock in those savings. If you don't want to do that, you just want to try it, you hit the button. And what's going to happen, the price is going to go up because you're only going to get the discount from going from your show, as opposed to the subscription they got from the show plus the additional subscription savings. Here's my suggestion. I'm going to tell you how to game this. This is not in my advantage, but it is in the consumer's advantage. Take the subscription price. You can call us, text us, email us as soon as the product arrives and cut the subscription, you get the discount. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to like it and you're probably going to want the subscription.
Yes.
So why do we know that? Because over 60% of the people who purchase our products continue to purchase our products.
Because they work.
And that's why. They work. It's not like a supplement company you ever had before.
No,
we have a research team. We have a science lab. We prove what we do. And that's why we have the best money back guarantee. And that's why we have the lowest refund rates. And that's why we have a team, a staff that will deal with your questions to make sure that you're taking it right. You understand how to use it. And if anything goes wrong on that way, we're going to fix it for you, or we're going to give you all your money back so you can redeploy it to something else that works. And I think that's just a good, fair agreement. There's a lot of bad supplement companies out there. Some of the criticisms directed in the industry, it's warranted, it's legitimate. I'm not going to tell you that it isn't. And when Matt and I started 20 years ago, I'd worked in every area of the supplement industry. I knew the good ones, I knew the bad ones, and I knew the charlatans. And I said, we're going to build a supplement company. We're going to build a supplement company that we're only going to pick products that we can build the best in the industry. And we're going to give our people their money back if it doesn't work for them, because it's possible that they misdiagnosed or they misfigured out. They got the wrong product for their system. And I said, I don't want them to feel bad about the industry. I want to give them their money back so they can put it somewhere else. I know the value of $1, and I respect everyone that spends dollars with our company, and I want to make sure that they can get that trust and earn that trust by giving that money back guarantee. and we make sure we de-risk it for everybody. I'm so grateful to be here and to be on the podcast and to help educate people a little bit so they can learn from some of the mistakes I've made and to learn from some of the opportunities that I've had to learn from some of the smartest people in the world around these topics.
Well, it's incredible, and I appreciate your time so much. And I have two other videos with Wade Lightheart, and you guys should go and listen to them because they are both full of amazing, impactful information. And one of them is a little bit more about his life, and it still has some much needed information about these products too. And, just like you, at the root of it, I just want to help people feel better and live healthy lives because I've been there. I've been sick. I didn't even know how bad I felt until I felt better. And then I was like, whoa, like that's not acceptable. So many things that we start to live with because they come slowly and we start to live with unacceptables. And we don't want to do that. And then that way we can be in a good mood and be able to be a pleasure to be around. Because I know for me, I was getting to the point that I wasn't real pleasurable to be around. And I don't want my kids to remember me like that or my husband to want to run the other way. So that's how much impact that this product has had on my life. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this and just kind of give you a deeper level of what's going on here. And like I said, I did become an affiliate. It's been over a year actually. So I'm going to put my link down below. I also have a discount code, intyrehealing, that you can use and save a little bit more money. And again, Wade, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to meet with us and give us all of this awesome, awesome information.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. And if you would do all the things to help out my channel, if you're enjoying this content, subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified when new content comes out. And you guys have a great day.